This is a public meeting of the Board of Education of the Eagle Mountain Saginaw Independent School District. The board is reconvening the public meeting on September the 28th, 2020 at 7:36 p.m. I will now consider the subject set forth in the posted agenda. Welcome everyone again to our September meeting. We are going to call on Dr. Chadwell for the opening ceremony.
Yes, we're going to do something for the first time tonight, which we're going to have a virtual opening ceremony from Copper Creek Elementary. Before we start that program, I want to let you know about the students. We have a few students there from Copper Creek, our brand new elementary. The first student is Iris Diaz. Iris loves to play volleyball with her friends. Her favorite subject is math, and she enjoys art classes. She loves animals and wants to be an animal rescuer when she grows up. Then we have Talon Coleman, also a fifth grader. And I'm sorry, earlier, the parents for Iris are Ricardo and Christine Diaz. The next student is Talon Coleman, and Talon's parent is Shayna Willis. Talon's favorite sport is soccer, and he is the striker on his club team. Talon enjoys math class, and his favorite special class is art. He hopes to be a nurse or doctor when he grows up. Next student is also a fifth grader, Chloe Long. The parents are Christopher and Jenny Long. Chloe has played club volleyball for 3 years. Her favorite subject is math, and she loves art class. She hopes to be a general education or art teacher when she grows up. And finally, Sedante Lede. Sedante is a fifth grader, and Sedante's parents are Charles and Nika Lede. Sedante has taken gymnastics in the past. Sedante's favorite subject is math because he loves working with numbers, he loves PE, and playing video games. And so we're going to start our program, so if we want to get ready.
Good evening, I'm Amber Bean. I'm the principal of Copper Creek. Thank you so much for letting us be here tonight. I'm joined with 4 of our fifth graders who are members of the very first fifth grade class at Copper Creek. And I'm going to give them a moment to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Chloe Long.
Hi, I'm Iris Diaz.
Hi, my name is Talon Coleman.
Hi, my name is Sedante Lede.
Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now for the Texas Pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Now for the moment of silence.
Thank you for letting us lead the pledge today.
Go Cowboys!
It's good to have the kids back to open our ceremony very much. Appreciate that. We do have some special introductions, so I'm going to call on Dr. Parker with the Education Services Department introductions.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, board. It's nice to see y'all. It has been since February since we have introduced new leaders, so we have quite a few, and they'll be coming in. Come to the front. We have Cynthia Weber joining us right now. Dr. Cynthia Weber is joined tonight with her son, Stephen. Okay, I had a whole crew here for you. So Dr. Weber brings 17 years of public education experience to Saginaw High School as the new principal there at Saginaw. She has experience at every single level, has been an administrator, has an elementary principal, middle school principal, and now a high school principal, and has an incredible background, which includes coming out of New York City to school at Rice University, and then worked on her master's at TCU, and has her doctorate now from DBU and has joined us. So her background, she is bilingual. She was an instructional coach for ESL. She actually worked with me when I was in Northwest, did an incredible job as an assistant principal. We're so happy to have your son Stephen with us tonight, and we welcome her as Saginaw High School principal. Another new principal that'll join me here at the podium tonight is Mr. Winston McCowan. Winston is joined tonight by his wife, Lindsay, his son Noah, and his precious daughter, Brianna. Thank you so much. Brianna or Brianna? Brianna, we welcome you. Mr. McCowan is in his 18th year in education and 13th year as an administrator. He's worked in everything from 4A to 6A schools and has been an administrator both at the middle school and high school level now. He has several honors, which includes being named the TASSP Region 7 High School Assistant Principal of the Year in 2009 and 10, and nominated for the Region 11 Junior High Principal of the Year in 2014-15. He currently also serves as the TASSP Assistant State Coordinator. His background includes special education. He was an LSSP as well as a special education counselor. He is now leading the work at Chisholm Trail High School and doing a great job. So thank you tonight for being here, Mr. McCowan. Thank you. I'd like to introduce two more Chisholm Trail High School leaders, including Ms. Meredith Birdwell right here, our new academic assistant principal. Meredith is joined by her husband, Brian. She's been in the district for several years and has served as our summer school principal for the past several years, done an incredible job. She's also been the 504 coordinator there at Chisholm Trail. We're excited for her in her new role, and we've already kept her quite busy. Thank you, Ms. Burton. Another new assistant principal at Chisholm Trail High School is Ms. Stacey Donaldson. She's joining us tonight with her husband, I think I have this right, Kyle, and daughter Kinsey. I saw her out there just playing some games. Finally got in here, right? Happy. You might recognize Ms. Donaldson. She was the former dance teacher of the Charmers at Chisholm Trail High School. She left us for a year, went and worked in a middle school in Keller, and then joined us as a member of the team this year. She started her career in Como ISD at Smithson Valley High School. After 1 year, she was able to move back home to Houston and got her Master's of Education in Administration and Supervision at the University of Houston, came to Chisholm Trail High School, has worked here. We're excited to have her, and she's happy to be back where the Rangers are going to ride. Correct? Thank you. Thank you. Joining me on stage now is with his wife, Debbie. I've known this couple for quite some time. I have some stories on Ron as a former wrestling coach. He's been in education he received his bachelor's degree in 2001 from Oklahoma State University in Health and Physical Education. He obtained his Master of Education from the University of Central Oklahoma in 2008. He obtained, currently he's working on his doctorate at Texas Tech University. We're excited about that, but he has taken on the role of the new principal at Marine Creek Middle School. And he is also the father of, let me make sure I have this right, 9 children and a grandson. And his wife is in the medical field as an RN. Did I get that right, didn't I? Hygienist. I knew it was medical field. So we welcome Mr. Ron Gatlin as our new leader of Marine Creek Middle School. Thank you. Joining me on stage now is Miss Kayla Livingston. She is our new assistant principal at Wayside Middle School. And joining Kayla is her grandmother, Emily Livingston. Isn't that awesome? Miss Kayla, as I said, we welcome you, Miss Livingston. We're so proud of your granddaughter. Thank you. Yeah, I think it's awesome that you're here. Well, Kayla's a graduate, is born and bred here, graduate of Eagle Mountain ISD, calls this district home. She has been in the community for over 14 years. And I'm sorry, Emily Livingston brought her into this community 14 years ago. I said that wrong. She attended the University of Texas at Arlington for both her bachelor's and master's degree. And she's been in the district for 6 years, has developed a focus in special education and behavior intervention. And she's using that as well as growing in her knowledge of everything as a first-year assistant principal at Wayside Middle School. Thank you. Thank you. Now I'm moving to the elementary realm. Miss Stacey Witt, come on down. Stacey Witt earned her bachelor's degree in 1994, a master's degree in educational administration in 2003 from Texas Woman's University. I've known Stacey. I told her I don't remember a time when I've been in the Metroplex area when I didn't know Stacey. She is our new principal of Willow Creek Elementary and doing a fabulous job. We're so happy for you. She got her start in public education as an elementary teacher in Boyd ISD. Did you ever have my kids?
I don't think so.
She would remember, I'm sure. But anyway, while working on her administration degree, she's also been an adjunct professor for Texas Women University for the Department of Education. She's worked as a reading specialist and assistant principal in several different districts, and she was an elementary principal over in Keller before returning to the high school level in Boyd as a high school counselor. So she has just a broad range of experiences. We're excited to have her here. She is married to her husband, Scott, and she has one son, Colton, who was a baseball player at Charlton, right? So thank you, Ms. Witt. We're happy to have you. Thank you. After Ms. Witt, we have another elementary person here, Ms. Claire Compton. Come on down. This is our new assistant principal at Northbrook Elementary. Hang on, I'm finding your information right quick. I wanted to put them in order of levels. Claire is proud to be back in Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD. She brings 10 years of experience to her new role at Northbrook Elementary. I think this is so cool because she began her career as a first grade teacher at Chisholm Ridge Elementary and was happy to get back. Her husband and her marriage took her to Midland, but we're glad to have her back. She served for the past 6 years as an assistant principal, and we're happy to have her here. She earned her master's degree in educational leadership from the University of Texas at Permian Basin and is a proud graduate of A&M University. I had to say that. Thank you, Claire. We're glad to have you. Thank you. Another new elementary assistant principal you may recognize. She was one of our interns last year, graduating from the TCU this year, and she is now the new assistant principal, Miss Adriana Cardona of Gatlin Elementary. So super glad to welcome her. She is originally from Durango, Mexico, where she completed primary school. She moved to Fort Worth at the age of 10 and has lived there ever since. She is a first-generation college graduate. I think that's so great. Congratulations. Obtaining a bachelor's degree in education from Texas Wesleyan, she recently received her master's in educational leadership from TCU, and we are so happy to have her here. Her family also goes here. Her two children, Christian, who is 11, and Christopher, who is 7. And she enjoys spending a lot of time with you. Thank you. Adriana Cardona. Now we're moving to the district level of introductions, and Miss Dr. Kelly Gloss is joining me here on stage. And Dr. Gloss comes to us this year as our new coordinator of social studies. We're so excited to have her. She is a recent graduate of Dallas Baptist University, and she is joining us after spending 7 years at Louisville ISD. In the role of social studies, correct? That's right. So we were excited to get you here. She served as a teacher, a building team leader, and department chair in Clear Lake ISD. She also served as a teacher in Alief ISD, and she is a native Houstonian, but I know you're proud to be up in this way, right? In the Fort Worth area. Great. Let me see, her love of social studies began when she took a remote political course at UH, and that fire has never dimmed. She has already made a positive impact on our social studies curriculum and in leadership. Thank you. Thank you. Glad to have you. Next, our next coordinator is Miss Anna DeLeon. She is our coordinator of bilingual. She has served in education for 29 years as an ESL and bilingual teacher. She received her Master of Education from Stephen F. Austin and served as a consultant for Region 11 Educational Service Center. She's also been the bilingual ESL coordinator for Birdwell ISD, Denton, and Everman. Most recently, she served as a bilingual interventionist at Gatlin Elementary, and she's her husband of 29 years is Javier DeLeon, and their son Josh is currently attending school at Denver Seminary. We are so happy to have you. Thank you so much. Our next coordinator comes from special programs. This is Miss Liz Jody Fortune. We call her Liz, those who know her. And she is joined tonight as well by her parents. Thank you. I feel like we're at homecoming and y'all are bringing them forward, being introduced. Her parents are escorting her, Judy Diller. Did I say that one? Yeah. Diller and Mike Mumford. Thank you guys for coming tonight. Ms. Fortune has a passion for ensuring that all students have a barrier-free education. She is in her 15th year here in education, 12 in Eagle Mountain, Saginaw, serving students receiving special services. She has been an incredible asset to our special programs and assisting teachers, and we're excited that she's now in her role as coordinator. Thank you so much. Glad to have you. Our final introduction tonight is Miss Jeanette King, and she too is returning to Eagle Mountain, Saginaw after a 1-year little tenure in a neighboring district. We are so happy to have you. She is our new coordinator for secondary math. She is a TCU graduate and has spent 13 years inspiring the love of math in students as a teacher and instructional coach in the North Texas area. Specifically, she served students at Chisholm Trail High School for 5 years as a teacher and math instructional leader. She's taken on many leadership roles over the year as a math coach, curriculum writer, all of the things that show her passion for math, and she is doing an incredible job leading our journey. So she's going to help us meet our board goals, okay? Thank you so much, Jeanette King. We're so happy to have you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Parker.
Thank you.
We now have some.
Do we have one more, do we?
Oh,
Yes, but I believe.
Oh, I think we have a few more
They're
departments.
all right, Dr. Dawkins.
Okay. I have 2 new staff in my department, both of which have family obligations this evening, so I told them I would put the pictures up. Danny Knowles, who served most recently as the principal at Marine Creek Middle School, has been selected and is doing a fabulous job as the new coordinator in student services. He joined the EMS team in 2009 and opened Ed Wilkie Middle School, teaching ELA communications in AVID, moved into the assistant principal role, and then again as a principal and opened up Marine Creek Middle School. So he has a strong background in secondary education, at-risk and behavioral intervention, restorative practices, and leadership skills. Graduated from Tarleton State University, and he is currently working on his doctoral degree in educational leadership. And so I know this is a really big week for him. He's sitting for his exams, and then he'll start his dissertation. So we're really proud for him. It's big week this week for him. So right now he is coordinating our COVID response team. And so he's really serving as a liaison between the campuses and departments and health services. And so really trying to, and then communications as well. So really kind of help be the conduit with all of us working together on that. He's also working with parents requesting transfers and then the truancy processes. And so those are all updated processes, and he's doing a great job with that. This next young woman joining our team is Rochelle Williams, and it is her first year in Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD and her 19th year in education. She is our coordinator of risk management, and so she's running our risk management, which includes unemployment, and then also training for employees as far as staying safe in the workplace, and then if we have accidents or injuries, working with campuses or departments to provide support for our employees in that process. She attended the University of North Texas, where she received her Bachelor of Arts in Communication Studies with a minor in history. She began her career as a social studies teacher and then received her Master of Arts degree in counseling from Amberton University and had been a school counselor. She enjoys building strong relationships within our district and community and lives by the motto, find at least one person to be a blessing to each day. And I will tell you that she has been a blessing for our department. I met her at a conference. I sat at a table with her at a conference. I want to say it was probably 3 years ago, and I was so impressed with her. I gave her my card and we exchanged information. And I would see her at different conferences, and she always made a point to find me. And I kept thinking in my mind, we will have a place for her in EMS ISD. And so we got her from Coppell. And so I was really, really excited to have her join our team. She's top notch. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dawkins. We continue with Finance Department. Mr. Welch.
Well, good evening. I am very excited to finally introduce our latest addition to the business office, and that is Ms. Teresa Gardner as the Director of Budget, Taxes, and Investments. She joined us this June and comes to us from the oil and gas industry, where she was serving as a controller for the Walsh companies. And she's also has an extensive background as an executive in finance and accounting for other companies in that industry. She earned her MBA from the University of Texas at Arlington, and she also holds a CPA, or Certified Public Accountant, license in the state of Texas. Her husband, Dwayne, is a teacher and coach at Saginaw High School, and I can tell you she hit the ground running, and her vast skill set has been very valuable this summer in preparing the budget for the new fiscal year. And so we're very, very excited to have her a part of the team.
Welcome. All right, thank you for all those introductions. It was great to meet some of our leadership team and staff. We appreciate putting names and faces together, and we welcome all of them to the district. We'll move now to action items. First action item is to consider approving the adoption of school resource office duties. So on page 92.
I move we
Dr. Parker,
approve. Are you going to do presentation?
you're welcome to make the motion. I'm sure she won't care.
I move we approve the adoption of the school resource officers' duties as presented. Second.
Motion by Paige and second by Liz to approve the student resource office duties as presented. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And there are none. Motion carries 7-0. Next action item is to consider approving the drug testing resolution. It's turn time.
Good evening, Board President Newcomb, distinguished members of the board, Dr. Chadwell, and those that are present here tonight. I stand before you. I'd like to direct your attention to page 96 of your board book. I stand before you tonight to talk to you about a section in policy, RNFNF, local policy. It governs investigations and searches. However, on the second page of that, we talk about our mandatory random drug testing policy for grades 7 through 12. It is a great design tool in a way to help students to be able to deter their drug use. And so students have used it very, very well. One of the things that I can tell you is that last year, right before COVID, before March, we tested about 1,400 students. Of those 1,400, we had 34 that came back with a positive. So they came back with a positive. The year before that, in 2018, 2019, I believe we tested in a number of over 2,000 students. And so the manner in which we're able to have testing fidelity as well as student confidentiality is a big part of this policy. And so I stand before you tonight because due to COVID-19, it will impact our ability to be able to provide those two components of this policy, which is testing fidelity and the confidentiality because of remote learners. I think when I ask for numbers, we right now approximately have over 2,000 remote learners that do take and participate in our drug testing policy. That program impacts programs such as athletics, such as band, choir, UIL academics, as well as any other UIL programs. And so with that being said, because the policy does state that we provide no advance notice, those students that are in remote learning will be impacted differently, and it can negatively impact those that are here. So I'm standing before you today and asking for you to humbly consider the resolution to waive drug testing for this drug for this year due to how COVID has negatively impacted us all. Any questions?
Sorry, Liz?
I did, okay.
No.
I
you're
move
good.
that, as recommendation from the administration, that the board consider the approval of this resolution as presented.
Second.
Motion by Liz, second by Donna. The resolution's on page 99 of your packet. Any questions on that? Seeing none?
So we're not worried that this is gonna cause some, I mean, so just a free-for-all of, so there's gonna be no testing, everybody's gonna know it. So every athlete could juice, or we have no chance of catching it, or is there something else in play here?
The concern was actually the inability to test the remote students. And so we would be testing the in-person students only, because part of the test fidelity is that they can't prep. And so they go and get you out of class. There's, and you can't do any of that during remote.
What about going to their house?
I don't know that would be a possibility with fidelity, the testing that we have right now is we pay for so many tests and they do it at one time for a location. I can't say that, that's the reason why we had the test, is in order to discourage students from using drugs. And so we've been, I think this has been, Mr. Newcomb, how long has it been a part of our?
A long time. I've never really been in favor of it, just so you know. I was always against, I never thought it was anything. But yes, it's been around for a long time, very long time. I was kind of happy we were going to get rid of it for a year, actually. If I was just in favor of the resolution.
I'll just ask a question.
Because of the randomness of how the testing is designed, students really rarely, they're not even asking questions because of the way we design it. Sometimes we have it in the morning and the afternoon. And so there really is an opportunity for them to detect a pattern.
Yeah, and I'll just, for the record, and I think Ms. Ring too, both of my kids have been tested randomly. I think you've had a child or two that have been tested randomly, and it's done. If they hadn't told me, obviously the school told me, but it wasn't around. We handled it with a lot of discretion. It's done really well, and I'm glad it's there, for what it is. But the ability to do that during COVID with 36% of our kids out would be very difficult.
Now, if we had a reason to suspect a child needed to be tested, that doesn't go away. We still have the ability to do that, right? Like, this is the random drug testing for UIL participants.
Yes. If a student is engaging in drugs, they will fall under student code of conduct.
And just a reminder, this only falls for extracurricular. And what you're talking about would be any child, regardless if they're in an extracurricular or not, of requiring a test. Yes.
Any other questions on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And there are none. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Turrentine. Next is to act on bids and proposals. Mr. Rob Welch.
I move we extend the agreement with Heinemann Greenwood Publishing for guided and shared reading collections until January 31st, 2022. The total annual expenditure is $219,432. Actual annual total will depend upon the district's need and the product usage.
Second.
Motion by Donna, second by Liz. Any questions on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And there are none. Motion carries 7-0. Next is to act on the joint election with Tarrant County.
I move we give the board president and the superintendent the authority to enter into the November 2020 joint election agreement and contract for election services.
Second.
Motion by Paige, second by Marilyn. Sorry, I can't, with your mask on.
We
I'm
said
not
it,
quite sure who it
we
is.
said it simultaneously,
Yeah.
really.
Okay. Any questions on that? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And there are none. Motion carries 7-0. Next is set the special meeting to canvass the 2020 school election. Mr. Welch, you must need to talk to us about this.
Make a motion
Oh,
to
there we
approve the special meeting to canvass the 2020 November school trustee election for November 16th, 2020 at 4:30 p.m.
Second.
Motion by Tim, second by Marilyn to set the election, the canvass at November 16th at 4:30. I think 2 board members have already committed to this, just so you know that that's all we have to have a quorum to canvass it. Any questions on it? Knowing that two other volunteers have already volunteered, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And there are none. Motion carries 7-0. Item F is to, okay, I'll read it all. Consider all matters incident and related to the issuance and sale of Eagle Mountain Saginaw Independent School District Unlimited Tax Refunding Bonds, Taxable Series 2020C, and one or more series, including the adoption of an order authorizing the issuance of such bond, levying a continuing direct annual ad valorem tax for the payment of such bonds, establishing parameters for the sale and issuance of such bonds, and delegating certain matters to authorized officials of the district.
I move the board approve an order authorizing the issuance of the Eagle Mountain Saginaw Independent School District's unlimited tax refunding bonds, taxable series 2020-C, in one or more series, levying a continuing direct annual ad valorem tax for the payment of such bonds, and resolving other matters incident and related to issuance, sale, payment, and delivery of such bonds, including establishing procedures and delegating matters to authorized district officials.
Motion by Donna, second by Liz. We had this report earlier in the evening. Any questions on it now? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? There are none. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Rob. Good job. Next is to designate the method of procurement for new central administration building. Mr. Pleatwell. Now we're going to spend some money. Go ahead.
You want me to go ahead?
I don't
Talk.
know. Pleat, what are you going to tell us? Go ahead, Paige.
I move we designate competitive sealed proposal as the method that provides the best value for the district for the new central administration building.
Second.
Motion by Paige, second by Tim. To designate the competitive sealed proposals. Questions on that? Everybody good? Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And there are none. Motion carries 7-0. That moves us to consider a contract for the purchase of approximately 15 acres located at Crand's Family Farm, Belt Mill in Fort Worth, Tarrant County, Texas. Mr. Pleatwell.
We have been working with our district legal counsel, our engineer, and real estate advisor to work on negotiating a sale. It's roughly right at 15 acres, and it's around $106,000, a little over that an acre, for a price of $1.6 million. It's located in the Krantz Farm, or what the addition is called Belt Mill in Tarrant County. So it's on the east side of 287.
Will that fall in our elementary building schedule? Do you?
That would, we have one more elementary 18 that is in our bond program. So what we'll do is we have several sites that we need to evaluate, and we'll get with Bob once we get ready, and probably a year from now, to see where the growth patterns are,
Okay.
so that we can best utilize that and extend to the next bond program for
Okay.
elementary.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the
Make
contract.
a motion to approve the contract of sale for the purchase of the property for a total price of $1.6 million, and to authorize Dr. Chadwell to sign the contract and any documents associated with the purchase of the property.
Second.
Motion by Tim, second by Liz. Any discussion on that? I'm also authorized to sign it, and I told Dr. Chapel if he needs me or I can, just on behalf of the board. We're under the same parameters. All those in favor of the motion? Any opposed? Any abstain? Thank you. Motion carries 6-0 with one abstention. All right, we go back now to reports unfinished, so Pleat, stay right there. We're going to go to operations report. Mr. Pleat Welch.
Okay, so first thing we want to look at is under construction is Boswell High School, and we have the beautiful new ag building. And first thing you notice is we're able to save the tree that was right next to that area. So it went to great lengths to make that happen, especially with all the awnings and things that we had to overcome. And then you can see some of the landscaping that's already been put in place. And that is the student entrance that goes into the agricultural science building, and the lab is to our left over there underneath the sign. Okay, so right in the meat of construction, so there's some things I want to, you see the north home entrance going to the Paul Jacobs Field through Pioneer Stadium entrance. And so in the future, those two things, the ticket booth and that entrance that goes away will be redesigned to have more of a centralized entry into the stadium. But for now, that is in place. And
that entry will go away, right? It'll be under the bleachers like it is at Chisholm Trail and Saginaw?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And so we do have the fencing that goes around to help us with the child nutrition deliveries, and also on the left where it says that you can exit out of the building. We had to have that for emergency reasons, and the visiting team can come out that way. So it is a maze that they have to go through to get to the field.
Were they dressing back in gymnastics or?
I want to say the freshman locker room.
Other than the freshman locker room.
And
I saw them come out that way Friday night.
this way.
Yeah.
And so the maintenance department has delivered some, so instead of having the players walk on the VCT, they put some little carpet down so we wouldn't tear up the VCT, and so kind of create a path for them. So we appreciate the effort going into protecting our floors that the maintenance department did for us. You can see that they're drilling piers, and they're also laying concrete into the piers back on the back side of the gymnastics. So just a lot of construction going on in that area.
It looks different already, for sure.
On the southern side, this, just kind of a redesign. It's temporary. So we have a handicap ramp, plus we had to, it used to be the handicap parking, so we had to create a different location for that and a pathway to get into the southern part of the home side. And this is, the top one is the construction entrance from the turf room area. So that gets closed off during the day, obviously, and also during the game. Both those fences are closed in that area. Right now, we're still on schedule. We're slated for October 25th is the last home, well, it's not the last home game, but for this stadium, it will be on the home side. So we'll work on getting the press box cleaned out in the stadium, and that side will come down. Any questions on Boswell? Pretty much holding on schedule, but it's pretty tight with the piers. We had a little bit of rain last week and kind of held us back just a little bit, but nothing to really be worried about at this point. The update on the shade structures, that is an ongoing process we have. So there's some shade structures. There's actually, these two pictures are of Eagle Mountain. So their shade structure has been put in on the larger group, and then Remington Point, we just couldn't get to it because they were having it's tucked in the back, and we had all kinds of link program and kids going everywhere, so we substituted it for the Eagle Mountain picture. So if you know your school, you can see that that's a little, that's not Eagle, that's not Remington Point, but we are getting those put in. Going into Lake Country Elementary, all right, the biggest thing that got us last week is, if you remember Copper Creek, our first slab pour, it's a structural slab, so it has the carton boards, and all the rebar and the concrete is supported by the carton boards until it forms up. And one thing that cannot happen, it cannot rain for 5 days. And if you remember, it rained on the kitchen area at Copper Creek, so it was scheduled to rain last week, so we basically lost 5 days of that time period. But they are slated to pour this Friday on the kitchen area. So it's kind of reliving the past on that deal. But, so we were a little bit ahead of schedule, so that kind of puts us back on schedule. So still, again, nothing to really worry about, but there's a lot of grade differences. You can see how deep those, how they're having the stormwater, how deep that is layered into that limestone. And just a tremendous amount of work going on. There's a grease trap on in the kitchen area that gentleman's working on. And the top one, and it really doesn't, the picture doesn't do it justice, but there's a lot of trades working out there at one time. And they're all spread out. It's a large site, and a lot of good things going on.
What's getting a lot of attention, I guess, just living in the neighborhood is, of course, the things you can see going down Lake Country Drive. And so there's that big culvert that they're putting in a big concrete, I guess, drainage storm drainage pipe that they're
Yes,
covering up that our road's gonna run over?
So there was a big, the ditch was there, so they laid in the big culverts and covered them up. And then they poured the headways, so like on the entrance or the exit of that. So now they'll be able to actually enter on that side eventually from that main Lake Country Road.
Where's the stormwater going?
It just continues into the pond.
So it's
We
just
grab it from the
running-
road, it goes underneath,
running
and then
west.
exit into those trees and into the pond.
So Mr. Welch, they'll eventually get to enter from Lake Country Drive and Spring Street?
Well, we'll have that ability, yes. But they'll have to, the contractor will have to control how that occurs, so where they can control the traffic, who's on site and who's not. So they'll be careful about opening both those up at the same time.
Okay,
And any sightseers about,
pardon?
and anybody that actually kind of turned in there accidentally, maybe.
Well, that's a question that gets asked.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot, okay.
So this is kind of getting into the structural part of it. You see the beams. This was the second pouring of the beams, so they are curing at that point, and they break the forms down. The rough end in the kitchen, what I was talking about, this one doesn't have the boxes in there, so they started laying those in today. And then mentioned the stormwater pipe. That bottom picture kind of shows looking to where on the horizon you see the geo wells that are being drilled, but they've laid in you can barely see it on the far right is the head wall right there for the storm drain. Again, it's on schedule. It's just it's a tight schedule. Just kind of what I mentioned a while ago, the big geo wells, and then there's the detention pond actually catches water, so that does work. But what I really wanted to show you, it's kind of hard to see, but they have to pull all that dirt from the top of the site all the way toward that tree line. Then they have to dig it and they pack it. Then they dig it out with a dozer. Because all that's going to be a large retaining wall like we have at Chisholm Trail. It'll be
It's gonna be a big retaining wall.
10 to 15 feet high there. So they've already started excavating that out, but just kind of give you a visual of how high that'll be. And of course, it'll have a railing on the top of it. The maintenance facility, they started today drilling piers. So that was a good sight to see. So I had the picture shows the moisture conditioning and all the things that went into play, but they're doing the piers at this point, and they'll do the beams hopefully later on this week. This is Kirk Murdoch's favorite part, the NOG generator. It is in place. He was wanting to come out tonight and show you all that, but I think he's going to wait till next week or next month because he's got the inside of all his servers and everything's in there. So he's really excited about that. Just some other things that are going on. We showed you the maintenance facility, but we've also started at Bryson, Wayside, and Hollenstein, and Ed Wilkie. So our POG is testing the cable strength, the cameras, the hardware, and we're replacing damaged doors from the previous security upgrade contractor. So they're going to groups of sites, work on those, make sure they're correct. We check them then before we make a move to the next one, so they're not scattered all over the district. And tonight we talked about the CSP, and we're in just the final parts of the review of that central office. So we're looking for a notice to proceed will be January the 6th. So we'll come back in December for consideration for a contractor and notice to proceed next month, the 6th in January. Eagle Mountain High School, the offsite design is already in process. So it's kind of like the timetable for me is already, and Billy and Hunter, it's already started trying to negotiate with the city, get the easements, and working with developers about a possible different middle school site and another elementary site. So we're working hard on those things. And last week we met concerning Wayside. We went to the city of Saginaw and showed them some of the things we want to do on this site and how we want to do it. So they had some questions about traffic flow, work with the fire department and city folks. So we'll go back with some of their concerns and tweak it a little bit here and there and get their blessing as we move along. So a lot of construction going on and a lot of development. So it's pretty busy.
Thank you, Cleet. Any questions on those projects? All right, thank you. Our next report is a report on the draft of 2021 legislative priorities, page 74 in the board book. Dr. Chadwell.
Yes, this is an opportunity for you to see the draft for the legislative priorities for this next upcoming biennium. If you've looked at these in the previous years, it looks very similar. A lot of these are similar, although we have fine-tuned it to some degree, and you have these three major categories. The first category is legislation to support effective and efficient operations, particularly in the area of school funding. And it bullets out all the different areas that we would address and approach. The next is effective and equitable state accountability systems. We're asking for the repeal of the A through F accountability system for the 21-23 biennium, and also the suspension of STAR. As y'all may know, at the federal level, a state or a accountability system is still required. An assessment in certain grade levels is required at the federal level, but also on all other grade levels that's being required. So at this point, STAR is on schedule for the spring, and our district, as like others, would have challenges because of students that are having some great difficulty from this last year. But we're probably do not have as bad as some, especially in those cases where you have 100% of the campuses in some districts working remotely and having difficulty for connectivity. So I really see this as an issue. It's something that's going to be picked up by the legislature in this next session. Then the final area is just to address ongoing concerns with state educator benefits. We're continuing to support our TRS pension system and to have a defined benefit program, which is what we currently have, and to protect ourselves of a move to a defined contribution plan, which is often brought up every biennium. And so these are the various areas. This is a draft. There is no reason that you should feel rushed by any means. And even if you want to take a look at it and want to call me later with some thoughts, that's perfectly fine. We want it to reflect your beliefs in these various areas where you want us to spend our time and talking to elected officials and hoping for legislation to be passed to support our work. If you have any input tonight, I'll be happy to take that as well.
Is this going to come back for our approval, or?
Yes, sir.
It will
Yes,
come
sir.
back.
It'll come back for approval.
All right.
So for whatever reason, you're like, well, I want a little bit more time to look at it. Perfect. Totally fine. And I've already had some input that was given. We changed, you see the formatting on the bullets, we changed that. And if you see anything that needs greater clarity, we'd be happy to provide that. Or if you have any questions on any of the individual items.
All right. Please get with Dr. Chadwell if you do. It'll come back next month for, as an action item?
Yes, it depends on how much input. If the input is minimal, yes. If there's more extensive and we need to have another report, I'd be happy to do that as well. I did want to let y'all know this session is going to be very different because we actually don't know how we're going to access the Capitol. We don't know right now. Obviously, you can walk right in and see the office of your elected official, and sometimes quite often your elected official. And we do not know what kind of restrictions are going to exist because of COVID. And so that's not been determined or publicized. So that will affect how we do this work. And so
I talked to some legislatures and they're thinking about not letting anybody in.
Right.
Mm-hmm. They're highly considering doing the way we do the schools, as they put it to me.
Right.
We don't let anybody on the campus except for in their case, them and their staff.
Right. Yeah. And that, I really understand it. Obviously, we're dealing with the same things. The one thing we'll ask for is just equitability, that they don't allow certain people in that would have access, which has been an issue in the past.
Right.
Even people who have had access to the floor of the Senate floor and the House floor under the guise of being journalists, and it hasn't quite worked out that way. So we just hope for equal access.
Okay, maybe that should be in there.
Yeah, we'll add that.
Add that in. Sure, they'd appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That concludes our reports. We do move now to item 8, routine monthly reports. Any questions on those? Seeing none, we'll move to review the 2020 board planning calendar. Dr. Chadwell.
Yes, as you'll note, for the October meeting, we'll come back with a budget status report. We'll also, right now, I think we're planning, Mr. Welch, to have the delinquent tax collection report. I believe we're still on schedule for that. And then we also have a report on new courses for middle and high school. That information was provided to our leadership team this morning, and we'll be prepared to provide that to you as a report. I'm going to go ahead and give you just to let you know, it's very limited compared to previous years. There's, I think, 4 courses, and 2 of those are linked. It's no real surprises. We are looking at the addition of one new CTE course that'll take us, open up a whole opportunity for kids we're excited about. We also have the Saginaw Police Department MOU and also the same thing for Fort Worth. We know sometimes those don't quite work out that way, so this is hopeful thinking that we'll have that in October. If not, it may be a little bit later. We also have the school calendar timeline, and then also appointing the board naming committee. And let me see if there's anything else on there. I think that's it. You can review. Any other questions on any of those items that are listed?
No, sir. And if you have an item you want included in the agenda, please let myself and Dr. Chadwell know. Next item is the consent agenda for approval.
A motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Tim, second by Donna to approve the consent agenda. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? There are none. Motion carries 7-0. As far as my announcements, again, Dr. Chadwell and leadership team, thank y'all so much for the work you've done in getting school started back. I know it's been challenging for everybody in this room. We appreciate your efforts on that and the reports and the way you keep us updated. So thank you for that. At your place was a reminder about our Thursday dinner with BLK. Becky, do you have all of the slips back? You were to fill that slip out if you're coming or not. So please look into your folder and complete that and give it to Becky before you leave tonight, so we'll know. Any questions on that? Dr. Chadwell, any announcements?
Okay, if you would look at just the item there for superintendent's announcements. We have a few homecomings coming up, October the 2nd. It just kind of hit me as Mr. Welch was talking, that'll be the last time. Not that stadium, but those bleachers, everything, it'll be it's going to be different. I mean, it's changing slowly, but then it'll start changing rapidly, particularly at the end of October. But anyway, this Friday, homecoming, we also have coming up on the 21st, the virtual college fair, Chisholm Trail High School homecoming on the 23rd. We also have the October 30th, the Saginaw High School homecoming. We have all of our teams having the opportunity to be at Globe Life Stadium at some certain point, which is helping us. That provides some additional social distancing space. We've also noticed that we've added some bleachers at the end, temporary bleachers at the end of our stadiums. We'll have that at Chisholm, Saginaw, and we had it at Boswell last week to be able to add some space there. It's different. We're using the GoFan app to be able to be paperless, and I'll say there's transitions sometimes and things don't always work exactly like you want them to work. But going back to what you said, Mr. Newcomb, people are really doing their best in some very difficult circumstances, and I've been very, very impressed with people and just very thankful for parents and all they've done to help and support their kids and teachers that have just been extraordinary.
Is there a reason we couldn't put 3 bleachers in there and get all the band in there? Is that what the band director wanted?
It wasn't requested. It wasn't requested. We put
I'm like, why don't we just put 2 more bleachers in there?
Well, we put the bleachers that were requested. We were told that there would be a pep band and that it would be 50 people. And so that's what we put in. So if there were more bleachers needed, then we could look for more bleachers, but we put in what was requested based on the number of students
Those kids come in
participating.
March and then they leave.
Right.
I mean, you go out there, they're standing around the gate, they can't get back in because they didn't know they had to have a ticket, and then you got band kids everywhere. It just doesn't seem right to me. Not let them watch the game. I mean, let them come in and they're already going to be marching.
Sure.
It seems weird to have them come march and leave.
Okay. Well, I'll follow up with them, but.
What are we doing with the other 2 high schools?
The same.
The same thing, just the pep bands?
I mean, all the dance teams.
Well, the order that this came is that we didn't have bleachers at all.
Right.
And we talked about capacity in the stadium. And we said, is there any way we can move the band, which was a group of 50, out of the stands? And then that's the bleachers that we rented based upon that. And then also the drill team, they're on the track. And
Right.
So I'll follow up with them and ask
They're
them.
all there. I don't know. You got a kid, I assume.
We probably are talking about this more than we should, other than to
maybe
introduce
so.
it. Is this not on
Maybe
the
so.
agenda?
We'll talk about it later then. All right, anything else, Dr. Chadwell?
No, sir.
All right. Seeing there's no further business to come before
I move
the
that
meeting,
we
let the senior,
dismiss.
Donna, move we adjourn?
Yes.
Tim, you second it? We're adjourned.
Quit jumping in front of me.
Donna?
All right, not too bad.
Yeah.